go, some dinner. Bad placement. Bad placement. Hello. Bad lighting. Ah. Oh, we'll move you in a minute. So 7th of May 2019. I'm making the Empress and the Princess a little bit of food. I'd like to talk to you about less abled, handicapped members of the family. We have an issue. I'd like to see if we can have a chat about said issue. Let me get your input, thoughts and feelings. I'll go for a tea time cast while I'm doing a bit of food. See if there's any more scribes on. Maybe it's a family thing I'd like to discuss. I'd like your input, direct correlation. Here we go. Here they come. Here come the trumpets. Yeah, it's quite a dark little cast I'll do. Literally, see, we can put some light on the issue. There we go. I've had a conversation today with somebody about their family member being legally accountable, responsible, and held with charges for public disorder. Now, yes, public disorder, for anybody that's on medication or with a doctor, has an pre-existing medical mental health affliction. I'll be careful with my words and forgive me if I get them mixed up or I don't say quite the right thing. We used to say disabled, now we say less abled. Disability and declaring, that you have one and how it is. I was busy about my day today, and I had a conversation with a Jamaican lady that was quite old, looking well for her age, but she proceeded to say that knows somebody on the estate getting into trouble. She keeps an eye on them, very endearing, the story, looks after them, community spirit, community, in action there, living, thriving. And she's got enough on her plate, she doesn't need to be doing that. As I say, she's getting on maturity. So why are we doing that? Why are we looking out for one another? Why are we nursing each other? We know why. You know why. That's going to come later. But my concern is that we have failures of the executive branch. The executive branch, I don't know if you twigged it yet, but it's snapped. Okay, yes, the executive branch is well and truly snapped. Majesty's government has left somewhat of a hole here, because the police and the agents and the officers of the Met Office, New Scotland Yard, all of the interaction with the courts and the red tape and paperwork, hospitals, will say as well, that will be involved in incidents and anything that can happen. I know somebody in Sheffield and very close to them, and they have a family member who was persistently going walkabout. Now, you are not allowed to lock in a member of your family anywhere. It's morally wrong, and it's lawfully wrong, and it's legally wrong. So if you don't keep an eye on that family member and they happen to go up to the top window and expose themselves, and somebody sees that, that's an issue. That's a really big issue. Now, they don't know what they're doing, but they've exposed themselves in their own home, just getting naked, or they may have wandered out and they may have gone on the street and they may have had an interaction with somebody that doesn't know them, and they may have offended that stranger, man, family member, not yet, brother or sister, but family member nonetheless. As hostile as it is out there, this innocent, less abled, differently wired, beautiful soul, family member of ours has come out and uttered whatever, and it's offended you, and it's been an issue. And so, are they legally responsible? No. Are they doing it intentionally? No. Do they premeditate it? No. Is it fair on the family members to put that burden and responsibility of guardianship, ownership, management, legal responsibility? And goes for those that siblings, offspring, minors, legal minors. You are not legally able to be charged or fined or receive forfeits until you're of the legal age. So when you are mentally less able, temporarily, what would we call it there? When you have a temporary loss of functions of mentality for illnesses, diseases, stress, temporary loss of, for whatever reasons, biological, be quite innocent, then you need looking after. The legal system doesn't look after you. It charges, it affords fines, it imprisons, and it involves, a hell of a lot of money and unnecessary pain, heartache. I'm hearing today that there's a concern from a community about one of its community members, family members, and they keep an eye out. I'm like, but we've got trustees in place that were entrusted to look after these. The police are effectively trustees. The government, the private corporation in the positions of office, departments of, are actually, if we look at it, they can be trustees. They should be trustees, but they're not. No, they're after money and signatures and fines and fees and imprisonment. There's a strict 5 dietary requirement, 5 a day for the Club of Rome and the Crown of London and the corporate commercial industry. So are we classed as, should we be classed, not are we, yes we are, but should we be classed as corporate entities that's numbers on a paper and without any leave for the long-term longevity of your own mental health? Drugs, pharmaceutical neurotoxins that they supply. Perhaps you're being a test case and you're being given a trial drug, and that trial drug has maybe had an adverse effect. So therefore, because you're on a trial drug, there's many a thing that the police won't see when they're doing this and taking you away, and whatever, because you've done something and you're not there. So I don't think that you think that this is correct. I don't need to see the comments at all. This is not right. It's not just. It's not proper. It's not just right and proper. It's not proper, right and just. Whichever way you put it, it doesn't fit. And this is happening, and the Crown and the estates and the management and the pharmaceutical companies and the hospitals, are all getting mixed up here. And it's a massive, incredible failure when I have to find out from a 60-something-year-old Jamaican elderly lady that not only has she got herself and her family to look out after, but they look out after this gentleman, fellow, lady, whomever it was, because nobody else is. And if they go out there, when they're not being supported on trial drugs or not on, they might not have got them, then, and then it's just downhill. And does the judge and the jury, well, there's no jury, does the judge and the arbitrator, they might be lenient on them, but they shouldn't be being lenient because there is no charge, there is no validity in that. But for some reason, we are letting imagine if we was all a family in the Serengeti and one of us had got a bad leg. Yeah, some animals, when they see that one of theirs is weaker, or the younger ones, will class the less abled as the younger ones and the babies. When you will have seen it, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but let me just say it again. Let me just, because it's nice. The animals, the hippos or the slower wildebeests, will gather round the young, and they back up and put the young in the middle, and they see off the 2 tigers, the hyenas, the animals of prey that have come for an easy picking of the young ones, because that's what's happening here. The less abled are our young ones because they're young in the head and the mind, even though they've got an adultly appearance. Appearances can indeed be deceptive. So the wildebeest and the big, jungle animals, the Serengeti getty animals, they will back up. The bigger ones will stand there and they'll put the horns down and they'll face off the adversary, the crown, the Babylon, the bull, they take the bull by the horn. Who is regulating and who is watching out for? Because I'd like emails and contacts and a forum set up. Anybody who's caring for anybody with a lesser ability, forget the legal bullshit. If you've got someone that's not right, that needs help, yeah, and they are leaning on you, and you are in their life, we'd like to hear from you. I'd like your comments, and I'd like to find out, how severe this can be, and then if need be, we'll help out with the appointment of and show you how to go for any kind of compelling, or there are European funding measures out there as well, what you can go for in an official, literally an official capacity, and communities at large are a concern of ours. The breakdown, the takedown of man and man's, fortunes and rights and, unalienable is not for picking off. We got to ensure that we, to some extent, demand that our rights are recognised. In this current checkmate position, there seems to be no ruling of law, as you haven't noticed, whatsoever. Not only can Whitehall and Westminster do a fantastic amount of bitching and arguing for a several amount of years and still not come to an agreement of trade there. Notice that word when it comes to Brexit negotiations, Theresa May, and such things as trade. Well, they can't trade. Trade is private. How are they trading? And we've explained about trade and commerce. And I'm digressing, but these lot, very deceptive. They have oaths. They have agreements. We've got exposure of funding from to banking members, government. I'm not talking about what Michael said. I'm talking about extra, supplementary to that, what we had before and what has subsequently been revealed through the investigation of offshore tax havens and bank loopholes. It's incredible. So yeah, we can to some extent argue that the government, the corporation that's masquerading as the government, can be compelled and made to do what they're supposed to do. But are they good at it? Should we let them do it? Do they have a right to do it? When you go to work late so many times, you get disciplined and you lose your job. When you foul man so many times, then I'm sorry, you get strikes. There's no clone going into office. There's no other party coming in. The whole system needs quite a massive overhaul. So we ought to look at doing things for ourselves and relieving the official, what is it? Officious third-party intermeddlers. That's what they are, officious intermeddlers, third-party interlopers. They are getting access to something which isn't theirs by deception, and they're having their free fill of it, and they're taking it and they're putting it wherever, whilst we have no anything granted, given, acknowledged. You are subject to submittance and decisions made, where we are the ones to make the decisions and to inform. So there's been a lot of blood spilled on this loan. So a lot of good, solid men, families, wills, tribes, clans, battles, invasions, and we won't have our family put to death by belligerence, misfeasance of office, torts, disrespect, deception, and downright basic, neglect. Neglect. You pay the taxes, you expect a certain amount in return. You expect to see the investment, the communities, the hospitals, the schools, the infrastructure, the community, and there is nothing. It's a massive devolution. And when we see the younger ones, which is the less abled up here, they may look like be bigger than us, and they may have hands as big as spades, but they might have the mind of a child. So when you see, that man can do a lot of damage. Who's responsible? They're not responsible. They are, because they've done it, but mentally they're not. So where is the regulation and the protection there? There isn't, and that's a concern of mine. That's a concern of yours. We'd like to articulate a family, a special task force team, a bit like what Kevin's done with the DWP, but we'd like one for the Department for and the ministerial office is for, and perhaps we ought to set up our own recognised, private, official, bona fide, in line with Josh, in line with what we know, in line with what you would want and what you can see. If I see any horrendous stories which have got legal connotations of lawful redress required, I don't know, because it may be a bit like Alderhay and Alfie and that, where we open up. It's already there. It's already happening. A bit like the deaths in Palestine. The babies are being killed every day. The babies in Afghanistan that are being killed every day. The babies all around the world are being killed by foreign war policy. So it's okay. They only suffer for a few minutes, and they have plenty more. It's not on. The way that we, and you're having your dinner and you see it on the 6 p.m. news. War, misery, pestilence, heartache, sorrow. It's for your lower vibrational frequency. Well, we can blast that back. I can watch that 24/7 and it will tear me. It will capture me, but I won't let it in. Okay, so I've let it in today and I've been thinking about it for several long hours. Okay. So we need a trust. We need a name of a trust. I'd like you to name that trust and come up with the title. And we'd like to quarterly newsletter that I'm sending out through the .com. This will be a focal point. We have an email list of about 700 and so. So this will go out with me and G-Star as a priority to them 700 and something, to the 3,300 and something that's on here. Bosh, share if you care. Take from it what you want, re-report it, and link up with us in the YouTube. We will always be here for community outlining of what we're going to do there, networking and basically making agreements and plans and updates, reporting in and then going off again. So we have the ability to expand the .com and give you all a separate page to update and interface with, get certain access on the .com. We can fully immerse you once we go through certain bits of paperwork, as always, but we use thumbs, we use blue and red, and we let you know up front. So yes, disturbing, upsetting. I have proof of this. I've seen it a long time. I know what we're going to get. We're going to get a torrent of horrible, heartbreaking stories. I'm also going to line up a nice hangout with a lady called Sarah and perhaps Brother Josh, definitely myself. I've got some updates to bring. As you can imagine, I speak to and have contact with a great many hundred, if not 1,000 souls, brothers, family, clans and tribesmen. And periodically, those of you get in touch and I haven't spoke for a while, I get updated and it's like, wow, we need to speak about this, we need to shout about that, we need to share that, and we need to see what we get back. But we'll keep this video relevant to the topic on this because I don't want to waste anybody's time. Harrowing, disgusting, upsetting, murder, by proxy of. Ignorance is no defence, either which way you say. Our ignorance is no defence, and their ignorance of their duties are no defence. And when we bring to the masses these words and this knowledge that is key and integral, it will shut it down without any fights, without any flames, without any battles. You see the families and clansmen and tribesmen out there working, and you know who they are, you know their names, you know the channels, you know the groups, you know their platforms. So keep doing what you're doing, have faith. You, they, all of us have a job to do, a duty, in fact, and I am quite heartbroken by the issues that surround us. I'm very heartbroken. We have a way out of this, and we need to work together. If we don't work together, it's not gonna be effective. We have to find a short-term workaround and then a long-term solution. This is like everything. You can't just fix it overnight. So we need an interim proposal for immediate management, case management and recognition. Not only was it that just before or after Christmas, there was reports of hospitals and waste not being able to be moved around, and they were stockpiling waste, and there was dangers of germs and diseases in America that are Candida auris that are coming out, and silver water and things like that we use to fix, we can get out. We have a great many remedies, but they're kept from you. They've been kept from you, and now is the time of the bringing of, and there's a great many of us, not just me, Andy, Kevin, Josh, the Sun and Moon guys, all the other scribes here. There's a great many of us with a lot to bring and a lot to give. We will do the work and the groundwork, despite having to do everything else and manage, and we'll do it the best we can. I'm up to date with, I'll say, 99.7% of emails. The .com, I've got to look at a few little bits, but we're looking good. Newsletter will incorporate all of this, and updates accordingly. And we will send out the emails this week about this video topic. For those that don't know, it would be david@splspro.com. You message and send me information, links, private and confidential, obviously, and we would talk on this further and see what we can be doing. I for one, I'm worried. I don't know how we can fix all of this, straight off the bat. It won't be that way. It's not to scare you, because it's out there happening now. Neglect, elderly. These governments, America, England governments, United States government, USG, UK government, Her Majesty's government, are two different things there. And we're not going to get to turn all this around overnight, but we would be able to get some management of, due to the hand of man. They would call it the people, but man would learn to lawfully eject, lawfully reject, eject, to evoke, and to get these systems and procedures looked at, overturned. Lords, Parliament, we've looked at, we recognise now the tier structure. As I told you, that's the next part of the educational platform that we're going to play, educational competence grading that we're doing through the Sovereign Masters Guild. The education there is going to include the tier structure, the public, the private, the actual escalation of the courts, the responsibilities, the duties, the obligation. We'll do it for the US of A, our friends across the pond, maybe New Zealand, Australia, and look at all of the systems of, including presidents, monarchies, prime ministers, colonial history, and building it up that way. So then at least you'll be able to see what we see, and whom is doing what to whom. One of the issues is that we have the Club of Rome and the City of London, and then we have the corporations associated with that, monarchy, Her Majesty's government, to some extent, with the Navy, the Army, and the Home Guard and whatnot. That's quite officious in itself. And you've got this side here, and then you've got we the people, but we the people are people and we're men. So you've got different, it's quite a mash-up here. The presentation that I did do on Sunday, was it? Maybe it was Monday. Caesar, dangerous, Caesar, Rome, Caesar, the name in itself, can't believe it took me this long to realise that. Caesar, and etc. So yes, it's all falling into place, and we would like to implore your help, your assistance. You are able to activate and to initiate. We will look at the management. We have the systems, the capability, the transferable skills that the government seem to lack. So we will pick up the slack as best as we can, and I am quite excited for what we could do, but I'm at the same time very apologetic for those of you that have been through heartache, sadness, misery, had to nurse, look after those that haven't got medication, lapsed in a doctor, money, pain, suffering which you haven't allowed, but you have suffered, you've been inflicted, your rights have been abused. We would call this assault, not like this assault, come on then, let's have some, but an assault and battery upon your rights to your property. Yes, and if your property, therefore that constitutes crimes upon man, which are not crimes. You've actually hurt the man there. So when we go personam equity, bosh, it's a whole new ball game. But not enough do that. Not many will. There's not enough QC barristers at that level willing, that aren't licensed. Well, there won't be QC, but barristers at that level that aren't licensed, QC members of the BAR that would do that honourably. I know of one that isn't licensed, that come with brother Richard by the name of Kevin, and yes, we need more like that. Self-governing private barristers, non-licensed, that can go in there and sort this out until we install something like Brother Jack Fresco said with the Venus Project. Quite simple, quite effective. You know, China is managing the man and the penal code system digitally through the face, using the face as a cookie. We have the systems, we have the technology, we have everything there. It's just that we're being retarded, we're being kept back because it suits them and it's killing us while this happens. So, as I've said, thank you. Look at your comments. I have just cooked a dinner whilst chatting though in an oven. Just need the side dish to go with it. Let me check what we're doing, ladies. You want to go kitchen? I'll finish my video. Dinner is nearly done.
Okay, I'm going to cook.
How long have you been?
David, what 15?
10 minutes. Right, then let's say hello to the scribes.
15.
Michael, Albert, Joe, Lisa. So right, mate, totally wrong. Not for much longer. Manslaughter, I would call it. Can I put a YouTube video link up about corruption at the very top of the government includes Mrs. May, the current AG and leader of the opposition, Clive. Yes, you can put a YouTube video link up. We need a fan group to do that, or I can put it on the .com if you send it to my email. Albert, oh, he's on it. Well done, fam. Easy John, good evening brother. Chin Chin, Mickey Finn, Divers. Jerry, good evening. The revolution will not be televised. No, we are it. This is it. It will happen beneath the noses of the ones in the terraced houses watching, what is it called? I called it Getflix and Amazon box sets endlessly of Game of Bones and etc. See you in a bit, darling. Ciao, Bello. It's all very active and busy. Just thought I'd go live whilst doing the dinner. They were up there learning. Learning's finished. Sign nothing. Yes, autograph everything. That was a joke. Organised crime gang. Well, it's permitted. Yeah, gang. They are a gang. They are very big. Organised. Interpol. Yeah, into political. Not Interpol as an into police, but Interpol as an into political. I concur, Clive. Sorry, Clive. You go put you back up here because it was much comfier. Dealing in facts. Scumbaggery of the highest order. Yes, chill star. Video might be buffering, yeah. A bit of both there, Clive. That is bad for all. Yes, John, indeed. What's that beeping? Outside. Yeah, genetically modified, Jonesy. I used to ping them seeds, I used to collect them seeds up and then you used to put them a certain way and you used to press them and they go pew. You could fire them at everybody. That's how annoying and naughty I was, yes. I said, don't eat the seeds, the apple seeds, or you'll get a tree in your tummy. Turns out if you chew up the seeds and you ingest them, they're mighty beneficial for you. That's all right. Got no learning going on there. That'll keep warm. Sunflower seeds. Who's a fan of them? Sorry, I'm just commenting now. The important bit's been said. We are on the wind down. That's right, John. Goats and kids. Your lineage has become the surrogate. Like a free-for-all, you know, these government offices, as I said last night on the hangout, they've all got a code to follow, or might not have. They will have all signed up to the agreement of, and when they are in operation for capacity, authorised to move and whatever, then, you know, ask for the confirmation, the security, the name, the date of birth, make sure you've got the right account, the government treasury direct account, routing account, whichever bond it is that they're in, that are authorised to draw from, you know, and they are managing that on behalf of the government pays them, third party officious intermeddlers, businesses, you know, corpses, limited businesses and so forth that are private but open in the public. Mostly they should be non-for-profit. Can they be trusted? Doubtful. Are they members of, family members of, connections with? Oh, what? Oh, yes, Edward knows somebody who does that. Yes, exactly. Have they messed up too many times to be trusted? Yes. Do we need urgent response and action? Yes. See you, Jonesy. I found some great seeds over there. Offspring, assets, daughters, remember that? Brats, young blood. Apparently the cyanide in the seeds only becomes active in the presence of cancer cells and go to work. Yes, Jerry. For you are Jesus, spoken like Master Yoda. Finney. Yeah, Jerry, cyanide, it's a different type of cyanide, isn't it? Not the cyanide that we know, it's not the usual type, and yes, chewed up and eaten, many beneficial properties of quite a lot of seeds. The black poppy seed in Hungary, I was given a cake, and I presumed it was a chocolate and pastry type cake, and it wasn't, it was the poppy seeds, the black dried poppy seeds, all blended, mixed with a bit of honey, certain other bits that they put in it, into a pastry and sponge based cake, and they were raving on about how it's very, very beneficial. So this one here is some honey. It's made locally, not mass produced, but it will have the Hungarian place where it is, and the things that we eat, how we eat it, you know, where it's from, how it's produced and bottled, many great things. Again, nothing mastery, but simple changes to lifestyle, and even down to the colour of your sugar. You know, what's bleached and processed and whatever is pure white, I would stay away from. And have a great many ideas. You know, in fruit, Josh has come along with a great many. I can't wait for that in a few months, let alone the land, the vegetables, the recipes and the minerals that we can utilise for different ailments and activation of. So you see our energy consistently, and as I've said, I'm getting tired. I'm out there in servitude, 40 hours, responsibility of the grantor of the .com and that trust in itself. We are educating, putting publications together, liaising, casting, emailing, texting, telephoning, hangout, everything that we do. We're getting to the end now. This isn't going to be a lifetime thing, because I don't think I could carry on much longer. So we need to pick up the pace there. You need to feel the urgency, which I know you do. And we give love and thanks and a peace out to everybody in all your communities. I meet some amazing, kind, talented, unique mans and womans, and the children, the sons and daughters that I meet, they make me smile in my heart. How in the 6 weeks in the half-term holiday, they had the family time, and I was turned up to correct black, damp, mouldy areas, and I'd have the sons and daughters of all nationalities, of all languages, coming to me and wanting to get in my bucket, my bag, take my spray, get on my ladders, and I'm like, whoa, no, and I have to look after them, and they talk to me and they ask my name, I ask their name, and we say hello, and we swap a bit of language, and some beautiful, beautiful families out there, some beautiful mans, some beautiful womans, and it's just a little tweak we need. I hope it is in time. Disregard the news and the corporate international arena of, that's just a facade for your vibration. They have an end game. They plan it 200 years in front. Know this. No matter what you worry about, won't change anything. It's just a portrayal of. They release when they're supposed to release. They exit the realm on the time of the zodiac when they're supposed to exit the realm. It's based on maths, vibration, synchronicities, telling us certain things and helping us out. And I believe there is a set pathway, regardless of the coming of the dark, the end, the reset, the harvest. You can't stop that, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But whatever we're here, we are not to allow and to tolerate. The word is tolerate. Yes, you've tolerated me remarkably. You've tolerated too much from me. You've tolerated and far too many crimes upon you, and by no, by no man can they, what's the word I'd use there? Validate what they've done. No man can validate when we put it down and we see it how it is, and we explain it. You can't validate that. Let alone the mistakes and the blunders and the trusts and the apologies and the deaths and the mistakes and what else is coming out. We're here to regulate. We can't regulate everything. What we can regulate is what is affecting us, our communities, our families, our health, our wealth, our interest, and stealing our property. So we abide by the covenant of, and just thank you all for your time, your energy, your love, your patience, and I'm looking forward to your ideas and what you'd like to do, how you'd like to do it. Anybody that knows anybody on these tight ropes of guardianship, as the state calls it, I do believe we could set up our own institutions. That's your dyslexia brain and your similar words, institutions, and get recognised internationally as bankers. Certain functionalities of which they employ, we could employ. We could even become, not I, you, when I say we, I, all of us, the ones that who can do it, they get appointed. You could manage like the Department for Work and Pensions, like the Department for Transport, like the Department for Health, like the Department for War, Death and Misery, as will encapsulate the Club of Rome and its establishment in the City of London. And you could do that, and you could go for it, and you could get the grants. We get them out, and we give it to the ones that we know would do it. There you go, not to the mates that just spending the billions, chucking it into the offshore tax havens, and then telling me that we got tax issues and this issue and all this and that. And you see why we don't really worry so much now, because when your eyes and your ears are open, there is no defence. And Barclays Bank, as I said about poor Julian Assange. Barclays Bank and what they were doing, and oh yes, we won't do that anymore. Sorry everybody, we had a tax loophole and we could take billions from the economy. The United Kingdom. Sorry about that. Comedians, tax loopholes and getting caught out, working in the United Kingdom, taking the United Kingdom's money, avoiding paying tax and chucking it somewhere else. But yet if we was to do that, what would happen, everyone? In the meantime, we're all suffering and nobody can look after anybody, and there's no community centres and there's not enough nurses, and we're cutting pay and we've got austerity and we're drowning in our own brown faeces like it's 1701, and it isn't. And there's lots of access and rights. It's just we are being denied it, and denial by whom? So thank you, and much more to come. I'm just going to skim through your herbalistic. Let the shaman go. Look at this, what I say when they say about shamanistic tribesman. Lost things, lost to the ages is this knowledge. That's why we collect you up and make sure that we collect this key information, this key knowledge. Dr. Sebi, R.I.P., one love. I do like the strong flexi arms. They are robbing the public purse. Came on 8:30. That's right, the public purse. The purse on is going to take the purse, deal with it. And sorry, that was quite an aggressive stance, that wasn't it? The person is going to take the purse back, yes, as king. That's all I can say. We'll try to, and it's not for the few privileged, knowledgeable ones. Something that is a universal, non-sectarian remedy for all. If that's okay. So, yes, peace and love It's now time for food. I'm not going to be doing any work tonight. I'll have a quick skim on the website and maybe some emails. I've had a bad day. I feel like crying. I've had a shower and I've still got crappy bits of paint, gloss, whatever, undercoat. It just disturbs me. Chemicals, interaction, man, what's going on? But I've got nothing to complain about. I'm lucky and I'm blessed. This is a tiny little issue compared to the ones that I mentioned in this video. Less abled, mentally, they are like a child, but physically they are like the body of a woman or man. And then they go out into the outside world and they face, or it's on the family. Otherwise, they have to go to a care home where they get abused in the care home. Not even the care homes, with all the hundreds of thousands. I know for a fact. Before we closed down, we said there's all these contracts here, and there's this here and this here. It was taken up by anybody such as non-government contractors at present. So I can't name any names, or I will be shut down. The channel will be shut down. You can't shut this down. This energy cannot be killed. Non-government contractors, then you would do an excellent job. You would be there with your heart. You would put your love into it. Reiki. There'd be so much. They would probably get too better that you get sacked for doing such a good job. So you've done too much here. You're doing too well. You're not using all the money. We've got budget surpluses. They've never had this before. Folk are getting better. We haven't lost anybody in a while. There's nobody being raped, beaten or killed. Everybody's still got their eye tongues. Just get out. Just leave. Just come. I'm sorry, but it's not hard. If we know whom, what, why, when and where, the 5 key elements to our principal reality realm that we're in, then we can do this. We can indeed. And once you know, the one thing that this system of Rome does not have an answer for, the seas of Caesar will not allow you to go in if you know who you are, what you are, and what language and things. It doesn't protect you from everything, but it's a damn good start to having a rubber dinghy in the ropey, choppy seas of the paparazzi from the Papa Caesar there. And in my opinion, believe what you want, and this is just my own discovery as I bring it to you. Thank you all. I have waffled. I apologise. I'm interested to see what comes into the email box, the .com, in future hangouts. Thank you, Chillstar. Much love to you and the fam. We got this, Albert. We're going round. We're getting them in a loop. Battery. Your clock is 1 minute slow. Stop it. Get out. I didn't set that. Maybe it's the angle it's at. You lot. Bullied for water rates and money. How can we get around this? It's not get around this, the Sute. And we are dancers in vibration. It's just that name. Wow. Commands respect. The spirit within. How do you defend the legal claims that are being put on that soul there, and how do you represent correctly and afford the liability to the correct parties? And water, it's a company, a corporation. You would need to, other than sweat equity and paying with credit cards, very, very hard. You need to manage the situations, and you need to appoint. I'm not saying it's going to work, or it's everybody has finding different things, and it works for some, it doesn't for others. If you are going to look at payments and transfer by endorsement of a private remedy, and you need to recognise that you might need to do a bit of research diligence and look at the chiefs and commanders. Remember what I said about the village man that used to shepherd with a bit of wood? Think of an old man with a bit of wood and a hood and a cloak in a field with his sheep. Yeah, and you know what he is? He's the chief of staff. He's got his staff, he's the chief, and he's looking after his sheep. We've got these chiefs and chiefs of staff in the military and in the government. You need to appoint one of these chiefs, a chief executive officer, a chief financial officer, but they're all chiefs of the village chiefs that have now gone military chiefs. And you would need to appoint, and maybe, I don't know, I've not done it. I'm still researching a great deal of many things, cognising this trust and everything else. So, you would look at appointment, promissory notes, transfer via discharge, transfer via endorsement, discharge, legal tender, legal currency, credit, money, debt. Do all that research for yourself. Don't listen to me and get it mixed up and get it wrong. You do it on you, and find ones that do know it, and then come back. We have a chat. And yes, that's what the .com is for, ultimately sharing stories, those that have done stuff rock solid repeatedly. We call that remedy when we get evidences of, and instruments, language, and techniques. So we will keep consolidating what should have been done 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago at your indoctrination as education in the campus trust academies there. So yeah, you could claim vulnerability. Let's continue on with things that are positive though. Vulnerable, you don't need to prove that. You just give them first-hand information and knowledge that there's a vulnerable member of the family there. All right, and you would appointments are strictly, visitors are seen strictly by appointment only. All right, visitors are seen strictly by appointment only. 7 words. You might want to put private property, trespass, removal of implied rights of access. Notice the directors at the council, the execs, the officers, maybe certain things. I'm not telling you anything. I'm just saying protection of castles and of man is why we're here, of hearts, of minds, of souls. Not so much the pound sign here, but the heart sign. Family members are worth more to us than gold, than money. No amount of money or fiscal payment in a payout wherever will compensate for the loss of a loved one through neglect and what would we say, acquiescence of duties and torts inflicted. What? Yeah. So equitable remedies, you need to know it goes public private. It's again with the public and the private. It's key importance there, where you are, where you stand, how you do that, how you recognise that, how you protect is ultimately universal, and what's good for one is good for the other. The police borderline rule, we looked at that. We used to look at possibly using that before with the common law jurisdiction applies exclusively. But when you put up a sign saying common law jurisdiction applies exclusively, what do you think you've just done? You've just basically declared a public set of public codes and statutes and acts and the common law harm, injury and loss. That's applicable to the public and the private. You can't be a diplomat, go around killing folk willy-nilly and never get done. Oh, you can actually, because you're diplomat. Oh, right then. You can't just be an everyday man and go around killing everybody and get away with it. No, you can't, rules. So public and private men, except diplomats, you will find, are subject to terms of law, which would be common law. But the private man wouldn't be subject to the mandated codes that come out of Westminster, Whitehall, Parliament, etc. by default upon his person, because he's in the private, and if his corrected state of standing and capacity, he'll be in the private in his kind of cage, and he'll be always in the private, and he won't be assumed under the assumptions, and he will have done everything, and he will be executive, grantor, maybe many different things in many different trusts there in the private. So common law still means that man who's private, woe man who's private man, not in the public, can't go out and just commit common law breaches of. So it just means that you are in the private. So this is how we're at here, and the public and the private are key to your understanding of Mr. On the telephone today, I was helping somebody out. Can I take your name? I got put on the account so I can help out. And she says, is it Mr. David? I went, no, there's no Mr. She said, I need a title. I went, well, if you insist on a title, I do own some land in a Scottish patch of land in a Scottish castle, so you can call me Laird, David. And so she put Laird in. She says, what's the surname? She says, there is no surname. I says, I'm a private man. I don't come to you from the general public. I don't claim the public titles. And I'm here today in private as the man David. If you insist on a surname, I'll give you the family name. And I gave her that. House of, and that's how it rolls. So, well, I hope that helps. Look at you go, Clive. I like that. Yes, a repayment. Much love. Indigo, thanks for pointing me in the right direction, but I'm all ears. Boom, that's what we do. Kiss the guns. Right, there's much work to be done on them, let me tell you. Much love. Ciao below. Namaste. Let's go. Arigato.